close to my heart and something I find incredibly calming. My friend Alexa recently pointed out that it seems like I always have chicken stock on hand, and she was curious about how I managed to do that. So I have a system in place, and I am indeed always either building up to making a stock or I have a stock simmering on my stove top. It is all about this Ziploc bag of little bits and bobs that lives in my freezer. So anytime I'm cooking, I'm going to take that less attractive piece of parsley, the tops of my fennel, the tops of my scallions or green onions, the bones that, yes, I am going to collect your chicken bones off your plate when you're finished eating. The little skins and little tidbits that are left behind of a piece of garlic. What else do we have in here? Onion skins. We've got the nubbins of carrots. We've got celery. We've got anything aromatic, the stems of herbs. So all of these things I collect slowly in a bag, and I keep it in my freezer. And then about once a week, this thing gets so full that I'm ready to make my stock. So I love the idea of making something out of nothing, out of pieces that you'd otherwise throw away. And we really are doing that, but I do fill in with other basic ingredients that I do have in my fridge. So I always have carrots. I like to use the white carrots out of the rainbow bunch because I don't think there's any reason why anyone would need a white carrot. Some celery that I have on hand. I always do 2 bay leaves, black peppercorns, those are over there somewhere. An onion, this one is sprouting, so it's a perfect candidate to go in the pot. Some garlic, I usually use half a garlic bulb, but because I am rationing right now, I'm only gonna use about 5 cloves, and there's other bits and bobs in there. And then I use seaweed, which is something I always have on hand. You don't really need to use it, but it does add some extra umami, some depth to the broth. If you are making this a vegetarian stock and you're not using chicken bones, then I would definitely recommend adding a bunch of seaweed and also some dried mushrooms. Just a side note about equipment, all you need is a large stock pot. That said, I know people swear by the Instant Pot for making chicken broth. I've always just gone the old-fashioned way and simmered all day, and my house smells like a Jewish grandmother's house. But I recently got this all-clad pressure cooker, and I do have to say it's pretty amazing. The work of about 8 hours happens in one. So I'm going to use my pressure cooker today, but just know that you don't have to. Another optional ingredient I want to throw out there, and I hope I don't alienate all of my vegan followers, but I do often use chicken feet in my stock. These are super cheap, and you can always find them at the butcher. I got these at Whole Foods. They're organic. It's another thing that people are throwing away that you can make really good use of. And the chicken feet are going to add extra richness, collagen to the broth. If you're making congee or you've had a really great congee and it has that silky, thick consistency, that's chicken feet. So I highly recommend them. They're totally not necessary, but I do think it's worth a try. I've added olive oil to a hot pot, and I've added my onion cut side down, my bits of garlic, you can see in there, and my chicken feet. And I'm just trying to get a little bit of color on all of that. The more color we get at this stage, the richer the broth is going to be. I even go through my bag of scraps and I pick out the little ends of the onions and things that I want to brown. I don't bother with the chicken bones because those bones have already been roasted, and so they have that caramelized flavor. And then I just give it a toss, and when it feels like they've got some color, I add the carrot, I add the celery, I dump everything from this bag in. Now that our onion and all of our frozen scraps are in there, I'm going to add a handful of whole black peppercorns. I'm going to add my bay leaves, and I'm going to add my seaweed. I forgot to mention that in that bag of frozen scraps, I often collect some chicken shells, and then when I'm simmering, I add a splash of vinegar. And the vinegar is going to help to leach the calcium both out of the bones, but also out of those shells and into the broth. So while this comes up to a boil, I just wanted to make a note on salting. People are divided as to whether one should salt and season their broth or not. I think not. because I want this to be a really neutral base. I use it to cook grains, I use it for cooking beans, I use it to deglaze a pan and to braise vegetables, and those are all things that I want to salt to different levels. So if my broth has salt, I have a lot less control when I'm actually in the process of cooking. So for me, I'm going to leave this unsalted. There's a little bit of salt that's going to come off of the cooked chicken that was seasoned, and also that seaweed, but not very much.